Digivision Network.
Thank you for being part of the show. Thank you for being part of Digivision Network. It's a real pleasure to have you here. And we are looking at an issue today, which is cybersecurity. It's an exciting space, it's a new space, but most importantly, it's becoming more and more important for the digital economy space in Nigeria. My question is this, as experts, how much of all these opportunities, innovations, emerging technologies should we actually absorb in order to stay safe in the cyberspace?
Okay, so I don't think there's a clear-cut answer for that. So whether as an organization or an individual, your level of adoption of anything in terms of technological space will depend on your risk threshold, on your risk level, risk acceptance level. So you'd have to do some, it doesn't have to be like formal, especially as an individual. You'd have to do some risk evaluation or management thing. And you know that, okay, I am willing to take this amount of risk. I'm willing to accept this amount of risk. So for example, you have an email address, you know that definitely there's some level of risk attached to that. And if you're okay with that, then go ahead and you adopt that, right? So for me, it's just doing some risk evaluation of whatever technology it is.
Investment in cybersecurity. What is your opinion on how Nigeria is taking investment in cybersecurity, both capacity-wise and infrastructure?
I'm privy to some efforts and a great deal of efforts on the part of the federal government in terms of policies and strategies for the Nigerian cyber security space, if you will. So an example would be the 2021 National Cybersecurity Policy and Strategy. I know there's a 2015 Cyber Crime Act.
Yeah.
There's NG-CERT, which is the Nigerian Cybersecurity Emergency Response Team. Incident Response Team, exactly. And I know that to take it further, for the NG-CERT, all institutes or organizations are also supposed to have their own aspect of incident response. I know there's one for NCC. I'm not sure that the one for CBN has actually been actualized, but basically there's a lot of effort from the office or the DSS, the federal government, and I think it's something that's trickling down. And also, obviously, with the working from home culture that we have now, Corona, the pandemic, pointed us or opened our eyes to just some of the risks and threats that exist in the cybersecurity space. So ransomwares are very popular now. Mr. Rock, mentioned earlier as well, the phishing attacks have also gotten more sophisticated. So basically, these cyber threats, cyber attacks are getting more sophisticated. And I know that there are a lot of organizations, banks, startups, parastatals as well. And obviously, like I mentioned earlier, it's trickling down from the efforts of the federal government of Nigeria. So in my own opinion, I think there is a really good amount of investment and exposure in terms of people development, organizational compliance efforts. And I think that is, we're seeing positive impacts of those basically.
For investment in cybersecurity, I would like to categorize it three ways. First, for government, two, for enterprises, three, for individuals. And I would like to say we are doing a lot. First, I'll start with for individuals. Most people now are aware of the vulnerabilities and how exposed they are online. Though we've not gotten there yet, but there's a baseline compliance on, for instance, two-factor authentication. Most people now are not seeing their Instagram, Facebook account hacked, and people actually invest in taking time to understand the implication of having two-factor authentication, multi-factor authentication for your Gmail, for your Instagram, for your social media space, for your LinkedIn. You understand, these are all strategic investments from individuals. It means people are more cyber aware. Secondly, for government, we are seeing a lot of standardization, investment in cybersecurity standardization. So for instance, I know CBN, just like what we are still doing incident response for some government websites. It means that we are still vulnerable. We are still seeing hacktivists. You understand? If there's any small riot now, you have seen Alaba people, they are fighting now. Very, very soon now, you see that one government side to go down. So these things are things that they would not stop.
So on organizational level, it will be the adoption of relevant technologies. A lot of organizations just want to buy the most high-end or the most sophisticated technology that actually doesn't do anything to them. And you now see that some of these have backdoors that can actually introduce cyber threats or cyber attacks. So it's in adoption of technologies, but with security mindsets. And also, no matter how much or how high your investments are in technology, your people can be your strongest or your weakest chain. So it's in investing in your people, in training them and giving them the necessary support in terms of cybersecurity awareness. And I will leave that for on an individual level. It's as Mr. Rock mentioned, is to ensure that your security, your passwords to everything is not one password. Some people have one password that addresses everything from Instagram to their emails. Use different passwords, right? Make them strong. Also, in terms of multi-factor authentication, don't have just because you want to keep it simple, right? Security can be convenient, but you should also just make conscious effort.
First, I would say what they can do to individuals is to actually localize cybersecurity awareness for individuals, mandate that service providers, internet service providers, telcos, any venture into the business of online service sufficiently be compliant to Nigerian data protection regulation on how they use and abuse Nigerian data. Much work to do in the sense of even provision, subsidizing cybersecurity solutions, promoting local content. We have the brain. I'm always a preacher of looking at our cybersecurity misgivings. We are actually very popular with a lot of cybercrime. Imagine if we harvest this talent and actually translate them for good deeds. You can imagine how we should be ahead of India when it comes to cybersecurity solutions. For organizations, government needs to do more in enabling them to be more cybersecurity compliant, especially as new emerging technologies are being used in most Nigerian businesses.
It's been a great pleasure having you on the show.